What is up, adventurers, and welcome to the brand new ShawnSetGO. And that's what happens when you haven't recorded videos for a long time. Honestly, I have not been feeling well these past, I would say, week or two now. I've been kind of on a rotation of allergies and then sinus infections and then flu. Everything's been battling me to try to make content and then also rotate back into feeling better, and then all of a sudden not feeling good at all. So apologies for the lack of content and those type of things. I promise you that there is a Hearths and Crafts episode that I do have planned that should be coming, I would say, this upcoming week, so that'll also be in recording. So if you are someone who wants to participate in the conversation, whether you're a creator or not, if you vibe well, let's chat. And so we'll talk about some of the things about WoW that we're concerned with today. Our main concern with is time gating. I think it's the main thing that has been the concern for people who love the game and dislike the game. And I think it's been something that Blizzard has used to their folly in a number of ways. For example, when we talk about things like Torghast and the way that things eventually prove over time, but by the time they get improved, it was time gated so terribly that people just don't enjoy it. And when they release those time gating things, all of a sudden we like it again. But it's at a point where enough people got a bad first impression that by the time you get another impression of it, those people who you want to see it are gone, and the people who stuck around maybe have a different impression of it, or two, they're kind of like, well, it's a little too late. And so the example, I think this is very recent. This is with the 1.1.5 update, and this is the post here. It says, "Dear devs, we do not need patches every 8 weeks. If it means the patch has to be time gated across 7 weeks and the content we do have on launch is bugged and broken more than half the time we have it. I think it's pretty clear and undeniable at this point that the dev team is suffering a combination of things, and it's starting to show very clearly that this pacing is not sustainable anymore. Faster patch cadence and a roadmap to tier 2, trying to keep people happy and constantly pushing out updates with content in them. I get all of that. I fully support doing this Dragonflight when you were capable of doing it, because clearly you weren't working on Shadowlands. So what else were you doing? Making things for Dragonflight, Lords of Draenor, Legion, the same things that we've been here before. However, we are now seeing what happens when the team with this faster cadence tries to get into the next expansion, doing the same faster cadence, except having zero downtime during the previous expansion to get things ready, to having an obliterated QA team, and the weaknesses are showing clearly. If the trade-off for content is that it isn't heavily time gated over 7 weeks and works on launch, is cutting out the 0.5 or 0.7 patch and just getting more things included in that one mid-tier patch, I'm perfectly fine with that. I would enjoy it so much more. The general sentiment I'm seeing, even from the usual ardent defenders, is the patch inspired very little hype and excitement. It has 3 things in it, with 2 of them being time gated, 1 not working, and the UI update that's half functional, 1 visual update to warriors, and was the only class change. If this is going to be the norm for the mid-tier patches, I would rather you just do 1 mid-tier patch and then put everything into it instead of 2 mid-tier patches." So basically it's like, is the pacing of content something that we enjoy? 1. 2, this person clearly watches Taliesin, and I respect that a lot. There's a lot of good information in their most recent video, and in it they talk about basically the big issue with this patch is that we're time gating things that don't really need to be time gated, and we're getting a lot of stuff that doesn't really make our time spent feel worthwhile. Like, why are we spending weeks doing this instead of just maybe doing it once? And should we do it at all? Like, should we do it for the mount? Do we do it for the champion gear? Do we need the champion gear? A lot of us have already found ways to gear our characters. Is there too many ways that you're saying, like, well, you can get gears this way or this way or this way through this event, this event, this event? If you're not doing this event, well, this is time limited anyway, so you can do this for now. And then, so it's like you always have a new way to level characters, which I guess is interesting for the characters, people who are constantly leveling their particular class. But at the same time, how many people really want to do that? I mean, how many people are just slamming time walking keys? I wonder. I personally, and I'm kind of like tired of looking from the outside in. I don't personally have an interest in all these different ways of getting champion gear. I had champion gear the first week. Why do I need it now? So I'm going to level a rogue and just see what happens. I'm really curious about it. What do you think about these many ways that we're just being given gear pathing, but we're not really getting anything new? We're just kind of getting rehashed content, and we're getting this time gated, spread out
sort of pancaked content to keep the patch cadence filled with stuff. It feels like a gacha game, but instead of there being power creep, we're just getting power plateau. Everyone just kind of existing on the same plane as they were previously, but now there's maybe expedited routes to get it. So it's like, is that enough? Is this something that they're doing to flatten the power creep or to flatten that curve to a certain degree? I don't know. It seems like too little too late. If you were going to flatten that power creep level, if you were going to kind of like stamp that down to make it so where it wasn't so easy for everyone to get like hero track gear, for example, it seems like you should have done that much sooner and then provided these as a route to go, hey, these are options for you to get to those levels higher, as opposed to now where it's like everyone's already there. So like, why are we trying to go back and go make alts, I guess. Anyways, comments say, with Dragonflight, it was clear they had little more wiggle room for it. With the War Within, they've openly said they're simultaneously working on the following expansions, and the World Soul Saga would be released closer to each other. With an A team constantly working on the expansions, just leaves the B team and C team to struggle the actual patch content rather than cycle that worked better with Dragonflight. Honestly, I'm kind of one of the number one advocates, but also like one of the number of detractors for there being multiple teams. I think that the multiple teams aspects works when you have such a complex game that has so many facets that you're working on, whether that's Classic, Mist of Pandaria, Cataclysm, all those extra sides to WoW that come with the game. But then at the same time, I'm like, is the teams too divided to where you don't have any available overlap? Like what one team is working on, say if there's a lull with their team, you're not necessarily hopping over to do that. Or is that a good idea? Is it a good idea to swap teams like that and they kind of have these pulled expectations that they're meeting? So I'm not necessarily a big fan of teams when it comes to retail, just because it feels like what happens is everyone's either stretched too thin or everyone's pigeonholed into one aspect, and then something suffers. And what's happening that's been seemingly suffering is that we're getting these content patches on a regular basis, but they're very poorly optimized, or there's bugs, or there's the patches are expected for us to play them for 2-3 weeks, and it's like, oh well, this was a weekend worth of content at most. So it's like, it's kind of strange where that's ending up as a team aspect. It would also help if literally not every single piece of content is just catching up gear for alts and recolored armor set. Yeah, the constant of getting champion gear. If you don't need gear, there's transmog. Well, if you don't care about transmog, there's a mount at the end of it. So it's like, I hate to be the person who's like, what if you don't care about any of them? But honestly, I do think there needs to be something at the end for everybody. But honestly, a lot of people kind of skip those optional aspects. So I don't know. I don't want to hate on just transmog or mounts and this type of thing. I don't think that's all the game is about. So I don't mean to be totally hateful on that. My opinion, I like the consistent pacing, but I think they could add another month to the cadence and it would be fine. Might give me more time to play something else. I mean, haven't maxed out Galagio membership yet. I don't have Exalted and Undermined factions. Another month would have been okay. And I think that the all of this, what it does do at least, I mean, with the buffs that you're receiving and all the additional bonuses, I think people are going to start to jump into alts because of this buff. It looks insanely good, at least for the Dragonflight War Within. Getting those little bonuses sounds nice. However, I will say that the Undermine feels like this stick in the mud that everyone's kind of doing either their bare minimum with, or they're already punching their punch cards and they're already maxing out. So it's like you have people on too far, like to the end. So it's like, it doesn't matter for them. You have people who are on the kind of like the middling side where they're just kind of getting a little bit at a time. And to me, that's a problem because you have people constantly needing catch-up things to get them moving further. And by the time those things come in, they don't matter. Like we're getting the bonuses to all of the Kaz, all the Kaz Algar reputations, but who's needing those now? I don't know necessarily. So it's like, to me, I think what needs to happen is investment into those events, into those quests, into those dailies, and making them more worthwhile and fun, instead of trying to put in more things that give you alternate routes to do the same exact thing you were doing previously. Like invest more heavily into the things that are already existing, making the car missions more fun, giving more variety, adding more things to those, making those more wholesome and full, versus trying to go, here's another route that you can do the exact same thing you were doing, but a different reputation system, different transmogs, just different mount, all these different things you can access now on top of that. To me, that feels like it feels like, ooh, piece of candy. You go to the other thing and you're like, oh, well, this kind of leads me to the same thing I was doing before. Maybe I can get like one different thing. Instead of getting a Neo coat, I'm getting now a purple mount. So it's like, to me, those things kind of like the changing of hands of those things feels, it feels discouraging because you do it so many times. You're just like, by the time you get to the next one, you feel bored by it. I feel bored. I feel overwhelmed at the first, and then like they'll be like 10 quests or big events, and then all of a sudden it's like, I don't care about this anymore. You do it once and you're just like, I'm just kind of, this wasn't fun. So that's the way I feel about it. But I mean, that's like, hey, these are my opinions, but I just, to me, the big issue here with all the time gating is that time gating is fine if you pique people's interest during all that time. Like, honestly, I think nobody would care if it was all fun and interesting and people wanted to invest all their time in it. But the fact of the matter is, you do it once, you do it for a weekend, you're already past its usefulness, and you just don't care. You don't care about what it has to offer at that point. So talking about a bit of those bugs, this post 2 hours ago says day 2 of patch 11.1.5 and still have no idea of how the main event of this patch works. It's stuck at 0.0 since the patch released. Everyone's saying it's bugged. I played it. It sometimes I get the bar to appear. It goes away for the most part. You kill mobs. The percentage, everything goes away. It doesn't necessarily make sense. What was the intent? But just to show you that when we have these time gated patches and the very first experience that people have with, hey, the only thing that you can experience is this Hallowfall event. Let's, like, this Nightfall event, let's do it and let's try it out. This is people's first experience with it, and now it's been out for 2 days. This has been people's like understanding of it now. At most, you've done some quests, and you've had a little bit of time, like seeing the area and maybe seeing like what the vendors have to do. Maybe you've gotten through and you've done it successfully, but at the same time, so many people are experiencing the buggier side of things, and it's like, well, what's the rest of this patch going to look like? What's the end of this patch going to look like if the beginning like this was so poor? Is it going to be better? Is it going to be worse? Because now you have the people who are investing on the back half of this patch, investing on this half of the patch after it's been released. So, which is wild to me. To people saying it's bugged. It seems to work pretty consistently in war mode, but then obviously that comes with the all highs and lows of war mode. So maybe that's the thing that people got to do. How does one know if the layer they're in is working? So a lot of people are saying basically it's sometimes it could just be your specific layer. That's problematic as well. For real, this game is so full of bugs these days. It's getting ridiculous. I think it's the constant adding. I think what a lot of people don't realize is that when they add stuff to the game, they have to go into the code and change things because they're adding NPCs to the area, they're adding quests to the area, they're adding events to the area. And all this adds extra, I guess, matrices that cause issues with the previous, what was previously there. So to have these constant additions not feel either play tested, or two, when they're put into the live setting, they're problematic and they don't work properly. It's like, why do we have things like PTR then? Like if these things aren't working when they're put into lives, are we utilizing and putting PTR to its proper uses? It doesn't feel like it is. And honestly, I'm tired of being in the position where people like this, every Twitch and YouTube streamer has been playing on this PTR for months, making the derivative content and guides and crap. They don't notice it was bugged. There are a lot of people who will glaze the Blizzard devs of this content is interesting and fun, and this is how you do it, this is how you meta it, and that type of stuff. How about, does it work? How about, is it working to the standards of, are people going to have issues? I think that when the majority of your player base is having this experience, it negatively affects the content cadence because people won't want to approach your content on the moment it's released. They'll go, I'll wait a few days, maybe till next week when it's fixed. And that's the worry that I have with Horrific Visions. Looking into it, a lot of people have been talking it like, oh, I misjudged it. Oh, it's much better than I had previously thought. But at the same time, how likely is it that in that isolated, cornered off part of PTR that it's working, but it goes into live and then there's problems? So looking into it, I hope that we can constantly get updates on these things. I think what we do as players is that we need to one, be vocal about these things, be honest about these things, but honestly, not give Blizzard always the benefit of the doubt in these situations. The time gating is getting exhausting. But honestly, what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments. Like this video if you liked it. Subscribe to the page while you're at it. Of course, subscribe to the Patreon. It's free. It's Hearts and Crafts Podcast. We'll be talking about not only this content likely, but also the meta and the problems with the meta in our most newest episode that'll be coming out next week. On top of that, if you haven't already, we have been lucky enough to affiliate with goldcap.com. We have a code as well that you can use. I'll put it in the description. So if you're looking to get gold, whether it is to level your alts so you can get them all that heirloom gear, or if you're just looking to get things with the token, because you can basically do anything with the token, get that now, subscribe, get the best gold guides that you can possibly get, and get 10% off while doing it. So that's more for you, and it's helpful. So other than that, thank you for watching the video. Appreciate it. Sorry for all the lack in the back and forth for me, but I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.